Hi, this is Jim Starkweather, the publisher of KitMaker Network, and welcome to another episode of Cracking the Box with the Willys Jeep that we're building. This is going to be part 2 of our series, and today we're doing 2 more parts of the kit that comes from Eagle Moss Publications. We got the front grille and the hood here in the past kit. So moving on, check out part 1 if you want to know more about it, obviously. This is the manual that comes with the second grouping, or the second two sets, and it does have the instruction pages in here for the first 2 things that I ended up going online and downloading. We're going to be doing the windshield, the front windshield with wipers and that unit, and as well as we'll be doing one of the wheels and tires. So I assume they send those to you kind of, you're going to space this out, so like, some of those other parts would come probably later on, but they're going to basically do some of the early stuff. And you can see this, I'm just teasing a little bit of what's coming up. The chassis, it does have an engine, so you've got an internal engine, a lot of internal parts that probably aren't all that visible from the outside once you get it done, but so it's basically kind of like building the whole vehicle. And this is only part 1 of the assembly guide, through the first 30 issues. So, but let's start with issue 3. This is going to be the windshield, and I'm peeling it open here. It comes in a couple of different parts. You've got the top windshield piece here, which is in plastic, green plastic with a green trim piece, and it does come with this free little keychain here as well. That's a little freebie. We've got some screws, and this is the part I'm pulling out, which is a kind of a little kind of not Allen. What are those little cutter? No, not cotter pins. What are those things that like slip over something? Anyway, so that's what those things do. And so then here's that plastic windshield piece with clear plastic already built into it, and the lower metal piece that I'll pull out here in a second is full on metal and very, very sturdy, very thick. And then we've got some plastic bits in here, windshield wipers, some connecting pieces for the wiper assembly that I'll just fell out there. And then the last little piece is like this crossbar that also goes part with the windshield wipers. So we're going to take a look at the instructions. You can see it's pretty straightforward. I believe there's only 2 pages on this windshield assembly. So it goes over all the parts, and I need my reading glasses on. Yep, I need more light too. So I'm having a little trouble seeing some of these small pieces and the various screws and such. The first piece, this just kind of not snaps in place, but it just goes through the hole here, and then you put this holding piece on. I started to try to put the piece on without it clipped off, but then I realized, no, let's use this piece, and we'll just fit the piece on where it's going to click in place, and then we'll just snap that off, or cut it off with the cutters there that I had to get. So you will need some additional tools with this. I could have broken it off maybe, but I decided I wanted to cut it off. Also, some parts on here you might want to glue. I'll let you know at the various points which parts those are, but none of these parts. These are all movable parts and so forth. So this is the part I had a little bit of an issue with, and I will say that I clipped out quite a large section of this to try to figure out how these windshield wipers and so forth went into this windshield unit. And it took me a while because the instructions are fairly one-pagey, or one section-y. They're trying to show you one section there, but they don't really kind of go into the detail they probably should have gone into. So what you need to do with this is line these up so that the windshield wiper is going up the same direction as that kind of reverse side piece there. So it's, I've got them both kind of vertical. So now they're slanted off to one side. So once you get those in place, they're kind of half moon shapes, and so they'll only go in one way. I'm not sure why they did that. You could just easily, obviously, just push them in place and then adjust them as needed, but yeah, they decided to do it that way. And then they're a little loose. One of the windshield wipers almost broke putting it in, so be a little careful because all this stuff is supposed to basically snap in place, or not snap, but push in place. These pieces screw in, so these are like little pieces to hold those slide bars there for the pushing out the windshield. And I did go and find the old magnetic screwdriver that came with the kit, because I found that was easy to manipulate some of the screws when I needed it to. So don't get rid of that thing. We're going to continue on here once we get we got those 2 pieces in, and then I'm just basically trying to figure out kind of the right direction for these slide bars to go in. And they kind of, a little bit of difficulty getting them on, but basically just want to kind of snap it there, boop, and it goes in. and then the other one goes on, and then we're going to try to fit the windshield in. That fits in from the reverse side, and they basically connect right there. There's a screw that goes through to the other side, which I should start putting in here in a second once I've kind of got this all figured out. But that basically will hold those two slide bars to the main frame. And some of these screws definitely, again, it was a little fidgety trying to get these in. That's why this particular segment, I'd say that probably this entire build took about an hour. So both the wheels and the windshield, or the wheel and the windshield, but the windshield took probably a good half hour to maybe even 45 minutes, something like that. Just because it did take a while to figure out some of the instruction, what they were really asking me to do here, which doesn't seem like it's all that difficult, but it's the way the instructions are laid out. And then this one of the last pieces on here to go on is this little handlebar, which then pushes in place. And again, you probably could glue that piece. That was the piece I was specifically talking about. You could glue that piece in place if you were worried about it popping out or something later on. But no glue is provided, no glue is in the instructions. So, and then I'm trying to see how this is working. So I'm gonna play around with this. Maybe okay, I need to kind of adjust those up a little bit, I think, and then they'll pop out, right? Okay. So then what happens? Well, of course, when you pop it out and you forget to put the screws in the top, boom, it just falls out because there are two screws that are supposed to go in the top. This is what happens when you don't just keep reading these instructions. Not sure why they didn't just have you put these in initially, because obviously they could have held a lot of these things in place. So again, some of the sequence of things are a little odd. Like I almost think maybe putting the windshield wiper unit on now after you put these pieces together would be an easier option. And there isn't anything to stop you from doing that. It's not like it's going to get in the way or anything. So you'd be able to hold the entire unit. Excuse me. So yeah, now it pushes out and folds up, and we're pretty much done with that section. So I kind of play around with this a little bit to just kind of imagine it on the installed on the Jeep and how it would look. It looks fairly realistic, I think, for the scale and the size. Obviously, you could come through on something like this and detail a lot of this in terms of painting maybe some of the parts. Obviously, the black windshield wipers, I assume, had black rubber on them, things like that. So just going back over the instructions, those things were all done with that one. Let's move on to number 4. Number 4 is really easy. So this is just going to take probably, it took me only like 10 minutes or less. I'd probably say 5-10 minutes to put this together. Again, there was a little bit of a pause while I was trying to figure out where that kind of little bowl-shaped piece went, or whether it went up one way or down one way. And looking at the rubber tires, there seemed to be one side that had more pronounced labeling and very hard rubber, very, very tough. And then we got the hub piece there, and these are two heavy metal pieces there, and then the rest are all plastic. So, and metal screws, and there's a little ring in there that I think is going to go into one of these things for the axle, the eventual axle piece that probably holds the axle in place, or it's probably a ring to basically be slightly smaller, or whatever, a gripping piece for the axle to go through and connect on the other side. So again, these basically just go straight through with 4 screws. Push really hard on these because they do need to connect to the 2 metal pieces, so you got to make sure you've got them all the way through. And they just fit in place very easily, and again, look pretty good when they're all done. So it's not a challenging kit to put together, other than just maybe figuring out some of the instructions, little issues. But this particular instruction set was pretty well. It wasn't that complicated. So we're going to put these 4 screws in, and then we'll move on to the that little O-ring bit that I mentioned, which is going to go on this side. So that's that piece, and it's just going to fit right down in there. Almost got that off camera. And then this plastic piece just pushes in and very firmly, and that goes right over it. And then this is the piece I was kind of like, is it going this way? No. And I had to look at the instructions. I was like, oh no, I guess that flips around. Okay, so then 2 screws go in that, and that's pretty much it. And we'll be done with that wheel, and I guess you get, I don't know if there should be a spare wheel on the back, which I'm not sure might be a little different than these main wheels, but yeah, there's probably 5 wheels total. Again, there's a metal suspension. There's lots more pieces to come with this thing, so we're 2 episodes in, but in 4 issues. But I'm guessing, I think I'm going to guess and say this is something like 60 issues. It could be more, it could be 80. I'm not sure, but obviously if it's 120 issues total, I think that's what I said in the last video, right? Then it could be something like 60 or 80 issues for the Jeep bit. So, hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next time on our part 3. And we'll see you again. Have a good one.